This is the official podcast for the Adelaide Football Club.
Welcome, Crows fans, to the Round 6 episode of the Down the Guts podcast. There's a quality feeling around the club this week after the big Showdown win. Welcome, Katrina Gill, firstly.
Thank you, Joc. Yes, very good to be here. Best win of the season so far, I think. So hopefully we can back that up again this week against the Swans.
Now, Showdown 32 was aptly named because it was all about the Crows number 32. Before I introduce the great man, I want to read out some numbers. 39 disposals, 8 marks, 3 tackles, 14 inside 50s and 1 Showdown medal. Patrick Dangerfield, what a game of football, mate.
It's good to be back, Joc, but I think those statistics mean little unless you win the game, and we were good enough to win the game, and I think we had a great contribution from everyone on Sunday afternoon. It was terrific to come away and give the Power a bit of a touch-up.
Yes, it was a good game of footy. The tackling pressure and the bumps, we loved it. Was that something that Sando directly spoke to you about before going into the game?
It certainly was. It's something we've been focusing on all week because we hadn't tackled as well as what we did on Sunday for basically the first 4 rounds of the season. So that was certainly a focus for us. And then I was actually watching the game last night, and I was talking to Sloaney, and just as I was speaking to him, I saw this massive hit from him on McCarthy, and then it was followed up by Brent Riley on Wingard, and then Stiffy, and then you could go through the whole game, and there were just massive hits, all legal. And just, I think the boys really asserted themselves physically on the contest, and that's why we came away with a result, Joc.
That's got to be the benchmark now, though. It's all right to do it in a showdown against Port Adelaide, but Sando will want to see that intensity every week. Yeah,
spot on, Kat. And I think we need that every week, but coming up this week against Sydney, probably no more important, I suppose. With the way that Sydney go about their footy being the number 1 contested side in the AFL.
Number 1 and number 2 this week.
Yeah, exactly. So that tackling pressure is going to be extremely important for us because we know Sydney have got some big bodies and some experience. So we're going to need to bring that game if we're to have any chance against them.
Now, just one sort of disappointing aspect, I guess, of the Showdown was a bit of a third quarter lapse. Is that something you're really going to be looking to stamp out going into the game against the top-rated Swans?
Yeah, I think it's really important that we do that as well. When good sides get a roll on, they can be hard to stop, and I think the Power kicked might have been 4 goals in a row, which clearly isn't good enough from our perspective. So if we allow Sydney to do that, then their score might even be greater than that. So we need to be able to rectify that during quarters rather than just reassess it, 3/4 time, which luckily we were able to do, and then respond. But we need to be able to do it during the quarter, otherwise the game could be over before we know it.
Yeah. You mentioned Brent Riley. Laid a nice bump, we saw that one. Also took a bit of a hanger, did the veteran. Has he been talking about that during the week?
He did. I said to him today, actually, I said, I didn't know you can get that far off the ground. He said, either did I. No, he's really reinvented himself as a halfback, I think, and just the way that he reads the plays, able to peel off late whoever his opponent is and be third man in. And I think his marking has really set us up well from defence this season.
And nominated for Mark of the Year for the round just gone, so get around him.
Yep, get on the AFL website and lock him in.
Now, Paddy, we've got a very good record against the Swans, particularly up in Sydney. How many games have you played up there?
I've never played a game up there, Joc. This will be the first game at the SCG for me, and from what I've been told, it's a lot smaller ground, so that'll be interesting. We're training there Friday afternoon, so if there's any Crow supporters living in Sydney, come down and have a look. But it'll be a good experience.
I reckon you'd get from one end of the ground to the other in about 15 seconds, Paddy, at the gym.
Well, that's what everyone's saying. It's not very long, so I think. We went through our stoppages today, actually, and we didn't have a huge amount of stoppages. But at the SCG, there's always a huge amount of stoppages. So from a midfield perspective, that'll be important for us this week.
Does that good record, though, is that something you'll draw upon? Does that give you confidence, or is it, they're a different side now as well?
I think it should give us confidence. Certainly, when we've played Sydney in the past, we've brought our A game. Because I suppose because we know it's going to be a really tightly fought and hard contested style of footy. So we prepare ourselves for that, and we need to do that every week. But I think the boys really really set themselves when we play against Sydney.
Yeah.
Another man who'll be setting himself to play a big game, Taylor Walker, reprimand from the match review panel, which was very nice and
very good, Kat. I'm very happy to see that.
Had quite a good game last round.
He did. He was very good, and I believe he has some statistics for us, Kat.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. He's one I prepared
Thumbing
earlier.
through the pages of the AFL record.
We were just talking about it on the back of Tex's game, and he ticked over to the 100th career goal. Obviously turned 22.
50th game.
50th game. It all lined up very nicely for him. He is now, of all time, VFL, AFL, the 10th youngest player to reach the 100 career goal mark.
It's a very impressive statistic there, Joc.
Big Tex.
How about some of these names, Joc? Illustrious company.
There's a few there.
Number 1, Joc, who have we got?
The big plugger Lockett, Severio Rocker at number 2, Matthew Lloyd number 3, Matthew Richardson among that, Paul Salmon, Coleman, McKenna, Dunstall, and plenty of good mullets also.
I was going to say, Kat brought that up when she showed me the sheet before. She said, "What do you know? What do you strikes you about this list?" And I said, I don't know. She goes, "There's a lot of very good mullets in this side." And Tex has certainly has brought his along for the first 5 rounds of the season.
Tex the only one post 2000, I think. Maybe post the 80s actually. So he's bringing it back.
Now,
it's a good statistic, but I think from a supporter watching in, we've known it as players, but it was really. I suppose it was really interesting to see just Taylor's ability to change the game in the course of 3 or 4 minutes, and that's all he really needs is 3 or 4 minutes, which is amazing when you consider footy goes for 120 minutes. But he's able to kick 3 goals in 3 minutes, and not many forwards can do that. And he was in some sort of form on the weekend.
Would you say he's one of the more natural footballers? I mean, there are some players who keep to the structures and do take all the advice that the coaches give him, but is there something about Tex that's a bit of X factor? He can pull the pin from 60, just does things that others can't?
Yeah, I think so. He's an incredible talent, and he knows it. And when he's able to put that into a full 4-quarter effort, it's going to take some sort of defender to stop him, because he has so much natural ability. Once the ball hits the deck, he's a terrific snap at goal, and like you said, his set shots is as good as anyone. So I think the mix we've got down there at the moment with Tippett, Walker, Ian Callanan, Jared Petrenko, who did a terrific job on the weekend, and his tackling pressure was just outstanding. We've got a terrific mix up there, and it's a really dangerous forward line for opposition clubs, I think.
Now, speaking of good players, who are the ones you'll be looking to curb their influence this weekend for Sydney?
There's a few that are bobbed up now, isn't there? There's Kennedy who's come.
Well, Kennedy has been in. He's won just about every medal. They've played in a few games that's rewarded medals throughout the year, and I think he's won just about every one of them. So he's been in sublime form, and he's averaging around the 30 disposal mark, and he's kicking goals, which is what you want from your midfielders. So he's one we've got to look out for. Ryan O'Keefe started to get into some good form, and obviously Adam Goods, who's been a star for 10-15 years. So we're going to have to be on our the top of our game on the weekend to nullify those players. Now,
some Twitter questions, Paddy. A few slightly different ones this week.
Well, I got some feedback.
Oh, hang on.
I was in at 5AA on a Monday morning. Joc and Jared Walsh, who does their work with Nova, he gave me some feedback that he wasn't too happy with the amount of tweets I've been tweeting. Ooh. So I've got to lift my game. So follow me, and I promise you, I'll give you something worth following.
At Dangerfield 32, get him around the big man.
She sets a pretty high bar.
He does. He does not stop tweeting. He's pretty unreal.
Giving out gifts for followers is,
I know. So I said to him, right, I'm going to lift my game. So it starts this week. Started yesterday.
We'll hold to that.
All right. Now, Matt Cabaz wants to know what time you run the 100 metre in.
10:98.
10:98.
That was my best, and that was when I was 18. Yeah.
And we remember the grand final sprint. Just put the burners on and jetted past a few as well.
Yes, I remember. I played a bit of footy with Dawson Simpson, and we were having a bit of a laugh before the sprint. But I was lucky enough to have a good run, and come away with the win.
Now, Zena wants to know what
Princess Warrior.
Well, this is
Princess Warrior. Yep.
Of course, Zena would like to know what the T in Tom T Lynch stands for. The Lynchy fan club would love to know.
This is a great question, Tom T. I don't know. It's horrific. It's a terrible middle name. In fact,
it's almost worth finding out.
I'll try and find it in my phone over the next. As we keep talking, I'm going to look for it in my phone because it's seriously like. It's like not Tobias, but it's just something horrific.
Well, Lynchy spent a fair bit of time with you, didn't he? He actually spent a few weeks when he first came to the club, and
a few weeks. I still can't get rid of him. He's a pest. In fact, if you look at my phone.
The Pest. Yep. There it is. Tom Lynch saved under the Pest.
It's not Tom Lynch, it's just Pest.
So he slotted it nicely, it's fair to say.
I'll tweet it. As soon as I find out, all the fans.
All right, we'll get back to you.
He loves his Twitter. I'll get around him.
Get back to you, Zena.
Jared Lyons, Joc, played his first game on the weekend.
Yep, good to see him get the call up. He's been playing some good footy with the Bays. How did you see his game?
He certainly has been, but geez, he was impressive. 14 disposals, Cat, and he looked at home in the big stage, I thought.
He did, took a very nice mark, just unfortunately pushed the kick to the right a little bit for his first goal. But
I know, and he's usually a beautiful kick at goal, so that surprised me, that one. But he's really good in the air, and I thought he was really clean on the weekend, which is always good to see from a young player playing his first game. But I think there's a bright future for Jared Lyons because he looked very good.
Doesn't mind a bit of golf as well. Goes all right on the course.
He's an absolutely phenomenal golfer. Him and Brent Riley, they're the two resident golf pros, if you like. But Jared Lyons, he's a phenomenal golfer.
Look out.
Now, first game is we normally invite one of the current players to present their Guernsey with the families there. Who was the player who did that for Jared Lyons?
Yes, Rory Sloan presented the Guernsey to Jared, and he did a terrific job compared to Ben Rutt the week before, who was a bit lost for words when he was presenting his Guernsey to Sammy Shaw. But Rory did a terrific job, which was good to see, and good to see Jared perform.
Well, Paddy, big game this weekend. All the best over in Sydney. Hopefully we can knock off one of the top four sides and really set us up for the next 4 to 5 weeks, which will be pretty tough.
Spot on, Joc. I think we've played some good footy so far this season, but we've beaten the teams that I think we should have beaten, and then we've faltered against a quality side like Hawthorn. So it's a massive game for us this week at the SCG, and obviously Sydney's home game, but the boys are setting themselves, and we're certainly looking forward to the challenge.
And numbers, any big predictions for yourself again? Or?
30 and 5.
As my housemate Sammy Martin always focuses on, it's 40 and 5.
You got pretty close, 39. One short.
I'll be happy with the victory, Kat. The victory, right. And we'll come home smiling.
All the best, mate. Cheers for your time.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for listening to the official podcast of the Adelaide Football Club.